In my star knot video where I demonstrated how to tie the knot, a 5-point star knot, on my left hand, I suggested that you could make as many points on a star knot as you want. And this is a demonstration of that. And to do this, instead of using my fingers, which I have done to make a long one, but it's not as nice as this. I made a comb sort of thing by weaving 10 nails together to substitute for my fingers. And so I've made, probably 40 or more points. And it sort of illustrates that the star knot really wants to be a 5-point circumference. And so there's about 5 points per coil of this helix. And I've allowed it to form on a left-handed helix. I think it looks better that way. It'll go either way. I think it'll naturally try to form a right, but you can override that and make it form a left-handed helix. And you can also see that when it's not tightened, it can be straight. So you can use it to wrap anything with a multi-pointed star knot. And it just so happens that I've done that. And here's a 9-pointed version. Put on a 1-inch pipe. You can arrange the ends in various ways. That's just the way I chose it. So this one side doesn't have either of the ends. So I guess now what I'll do is I'll demonstrate how to use this, because there's one little trick that's kind of important. You see that I'm taking the lead to the next point. This is where I'm starting off. And this clamp kind of helps for... So then I've got to get my end, my working end here. And we're using this, fit is rather important. So I'll put in the first link here. And you probably don't have to do it as tight as I've done it, but I chose to do it as tight as I could, which is a little bit problematic. And this is the problem with making multi-pointed star knots. It's a lot of pulling the cord through. There's not so much cord at this stage. And this is one of the frustrating points of it. It likes to twist. So now I remove my clamp. And you have to go through twice. Once for the first link, and then again for the second link. But this is where the trick comes in. You lay this over in a loop like this. And then you carefully remove this loop, loop that over the end, and then put this one back the same way it came off. And then you can slip the new Lark's loop, or whatever you want to call it, into place at the extreme left. Now, we make the second link. And so you'll see here, where my thumbnail is maybe, that there's one strand where there needs to be two. There's a first link, but not yet the second link. And so we're going to put in the second link there. And this, if I can get it done, the FID wants to be rejected. It's a little awkward normally, but it's more awkward when you're trying to make a video of it. And this is where it helps if it's not so tight. Okay, so this is the second time we have to pull all the cord through. So we link up the second link. And that completes one point of the star. So we're set for the next one here, like this. Now I've got to go retrieve my clamp. Put it back on so I don't lose it. Somehow that doesn't look right, but it must be right. So anyway, the way I do it is, so when you do it on the nails like this, there's a lot less extra cord tied up in the preliminary tying. So usually, to make sure I haven't made a mistake and don't have to backtrack too far, I tighten it with each. So basically, with 10 points on my comb, I can do 8 new points each time I shift it. And so there are, I think, 10 points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9, 10, counting the 2. So when you shift it, you take it off and you put the last 2 points back on. And then you continue. So it's 8. The first one is 10, and then there's 8 at a time after that. Then I tighten those, like you can see here behind me. So that you always have the maximum amount of cord left out here, and you can start out with the minimum amount of cord. Now the amount of cord I use to tie these is 30 feet. Yep, 30 feet. Well, there we are. As many star points on the knot as you want within practical limits. I think I wouldn't want to pull much more than 30 feet. And so that's 60 points on 12 coils. And then you can close it when you're done, the same way I showed in my first star knot video. Now, some finished products here. So this is a 12 coil, 60 point star knot, all wound up. It's wound. Oh, and it's got the left hand helix, and it's wound before being closed. It's wound onto a 9-gauge steel wire ring. 9 gauge is a little bit bigger, but about, so you can see it there gleaming out from between. It's a little bit bigger than the paracord. And I made another one later, which I pulled a little tighter, I think. It looks like I've pulled it tighter. Same, 12 coils, 60 points, starting with 30 feet of cord. Oh, and this one was joined, and then the working end was pulled into the center, wound and pulled as tight as I could pull it, wound and pulled into the center of the helix. And that neatens up the knot. So I thought that's almost as good as having the steel wire core. That's all for now.